Good evening, my friends. This is Paul, and today's going to be another one of my special 2-in-1 reviews, which I'll try to make a habit of that, just in case you guys are getting bored of my usual routine. Anyway, I'm going to be reviewing Kirby's Dream Collection for the Wii, including the soundtrack CD, and there's also a special occasion for it, too. I also bought Kirby Planet Robobot and a Waddle Dee amiibo to sort of commemorate the occasion. So first I'm going to do an unboxing of the Waddle Dee amiibo. Man, these just keep getting easier and easier. This has to be the most adorable amiibo I've ever seen. Just look at it. I mean, they even managed to add the cloud. Anyway, Kirby's Dream Collection was a 20th anniversary celebration for Kirby, released in 2012, right before the Wii U came out, so the Wii could have its last heyday. And to do so, they celebrated it with 6 of Kirby's greatest, or least greatest, games from his classic era, including the first 3 Dreamlands, Kirby Superstar, Kirby 64, and Kirby's Adventure. They all play and sound pretty much exactly like you would expect them, except that there's this weird box around them that has like little Kirby images. You can also turn it off, but that's kind of boring to have a black border when games nowadays are capable of playing on gigantic TVs. Either way, if you're expecting some improvements on any of these classic games, like for example, Super Game Boy support on the Game Boy games, or say, better controls, you're out of luck, because these games are pretty much virtual console ports. The only thing that's remotely new agey is the fact that most of the older games have a suspend feature where if you turn off the game, it'll resume exactly where you left off. It doesn't exactly replace the restore points from 3DS and Wii U virtual consoles, but it's a step in the right direction for the Wii. I will say that Kirby 64, of all the games on here, probably has the most unintentional improvement, because you can play with a GameCube controller, and in the original Nintendo 64 version, you had to use a in the original Nintendo 64 version, the Nintendo 64 controller had the control stick, but for some odd reason, it wasn't compatible with the game. You had to use the control pad instead, which was weird, especially for that era. So, thankfully, not only do they allow you to use a GameCube controller with it, but you can actually use the control stick to move Kirby. And it feels so fluid and natural. Now, if that were all that this collection was, that'd be a pretty sorry purchase. But thankfully, there's more. Right on the box here, I don't even have to take notes, I can just look at the game. There are new challenge stages based on Kirby's Return to Dreamland, where they take a copy ability from that game and have you go through a gauntlet trying to defeat as many enemies and collecting as many coins as possible in the time limit, and get to the finish. And every time you take damage, then you lose points. And when you do things in a sequence, you get more points. Eventually, you'll earn the right to face off against Magolor, who's one of the main characters in Return to Dreamland, in a race to the finish. And he gets tougher and tougher, eventually requiring you to just put your ultimate knowledge of the Kirby's Return to Dreamland physics to the test. It's really exhilarating and fun, and trying to get new times and the best route through each level adds a nice layer of replayability to these. It almost makes it feel like it's a legitimate new game in the collection. Not only that, but they even have a Super Smash Bros. Arena, where Kirby's copy ability in and of itself are the moves that he uses in the Smash Bros. Series. Almost makes me wish this Kirby was actually in Smash for Wii U, but I digress. And then there's also Kirby's History, which is the final new addition in the game, per se, which is basically this museum where you walk year by year down a hallway, and it gives you lots of fun little tidbits, including some that aren't even video game related, like when the Olympics were held or when certain presidents were elected to the US. If there was a year where there was a Kirby game released, Kirby will actually inhale the game, or games, and then you have the ability to rotate and zoom in and zoom out of the original box for the game, as well as view a trailer. And if the game happens to be one of the 6 on the collection, then you can play it. The game also includes 3 episodes from the TV series Kirby Right Back At Ya. I didn't bother watching them because I'm not a huge fan of anime, but hey, it's something, at least. And in addition to that, there are a handful of remixes of classic Kirby tunes in the menus. But if that's not enough for you, then say hello to the soundtrack CD, which has about 45 songs of epicness. Now, mind you, I'm not the biggest fan of Kirby music, but I also don't hate it either. And I listened to the entire soundtrack CD. It never once got old, never once got grating, and all of them seemed so catchy that I could totally see it if they made a Nintendo rhythm game one of these days. It sure beats the lousy 12 songs on the Mario All-Stars soundtrack CD, and if you can somehow manage to track down the full package in this era, then you are one heck of a completionist. Because even me, as lucky as I was to get the CD, I still didn't get the history booklet with it. But, for someone who's a Kirby enthusiast, you really can't ask for more. Well, I could ask that maybe Kirby's Adventure and the Dreamland games were better games, but Kirby Superstar, Kirby 64, the new challenge stages, the soundtrack CD, and the museum more than made up for it. Absolutely worth a buy. Now, if you don't mind, I will get my Kirby Planet Robobot and my Waddle Dee amiibo and play me some more Kirby. So in the meantime, keep the faith, stay epic, and God bless. Bye.